Well, yeah. again.
One more time.
One more time.
All right. Sorry, we're having fun. Oh no!
Hi, how are you? Come on, David, rock it out. You're on. How's it going, man? How you doing? Huh? Good, yeah. I think we got you on camera this time. Good. You're the star of the show, dude. Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the singing of the first verse of the national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. The President of the University.
Good morning, and what a good morning it is. Mr. Rector, members of the Board of Visitors, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Today marks the end of the 187th academic session. These exercises are the university's most joyful occasion when we gather to award degrees and to celebrate the achievements of the graduating class. Today, we are conferring degrees on candidates from 10 of the university's schools and the Data Science Institute. Yesterday, we conferred degrees on candidates from the College and the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. We are celebrating this weekend's final exercises without some of our student athletes. Members of the women's and men's golf team are competing in the NCAA championships, and women's and men's tennis teams have been competing in the NCAA championship tournament. We wish all of our student athletes the best of luck. Our music today is provided by the 392nd Army Band from Fort Lee, Virginia, under the direction of Warrant Officer 1, Kevin L. Pick. The Army Band has performed at these final exercises since 1998, and after 18 years, this will be their last year with us. Please join me in a round of applause for the Army Band. On Friday, 63 of your classmates were commissioned as officers in the Army, Navy, and Air Force. Let's give them a hand of applause as well. I want to recognize several members of our leadership team who will soon step down from their posts. Bob Sweeney will be stepping down from his position as Senior Vice President for University Advancement next month, but staying on for a year as an advisor. He has been with us 25 years. Two of our academic deans are completing their tenure as deans. Beth Meyer, Dean of the School of Architecture. And Paul Mahoney, Dean of the School of Law. You'll hear more from Dean Mahoney in a little bit. I also want to recognize Martha Seitz for her leadership as interim university librarian, a position from which she is now retiring. All of these leaders have influenced the university in many ways, and I'm grateful for their service. Today's ceremony is a celebration of the efforts of families as well as students. For parents whose sons and daughters receive degrees today, we acknowledge your commitments that began long before your students came to study here. Our admiration extends to the grandparents, aunts, uncles, and other family members who have supported and encouraged these men and women in their academic careers. We also recognize the spouses and children of some of our students who made sacrifices and offered encouragement to make this day possible. These final exercises celebrate the contributions of our teaching, research, and support faculty and the staff members who work in many different occupations across the grounds. Each diploma symbolizes the vitality of our faculty's endeavors, their passion for learning, their efforts to engage others in intellectual discourse, their ability to inspire the pursuit of knowledge. Staff members provide critical support for the academic enterprise. Students, please join me in a round of applause for the faculty and staff members who have guided and supported your learning here. Of course, the greatest accomplishment belongs to those of you who take your degrees today. You have committed yourselves to values that define this university: academic excellence, honor, service, diversity, leadership, and accountability for yourself and for your peers. You have lived what you have learned. The knowledge and habits of mind that you have acquired here will become tools for leadership in the world to which you go. The next time I come back to the podium, it will be a very special moment for many of you. But first, some important words from some other leaders of the university.
The rector of the university.
Good morning. I know I'm not supposed to compare yesterday's graduation to today's graduation, but the balloons are fantastic today. So. I just want to take just a minute, and I'm not going to talk long, but I wanted to particularly thank our president, Terry Sullivan, and Pat Hogan, and Tom Ketzlers. They are sort of the three people who really lead us, and they've done a fantastic job. Terry was nice enough to acknowledge the faculty and the staff, and I want to acknowledge Terry and her staff as well as the dean. So thank you very much. Now, I must admit that they're so good here that they've gotten me about a 25-page speech that they've accomplished for me, and I have it here in my hand. But as I did yesterday, I decided maybe it'd be better not to talk that long, that probably you would appreciate it more. So I will refrain from reading, and I want to thank Susan in particular for her hard work. It was a great speech, by the way, Susan. Now, just a moment to be a little personal. 50 years ago, I was sitting out there where you were. I was graduating from Darden at the time, and I jotted... the young man that's next to the tree, that's where I sat that day. But I had a couple of thoughts that I would pass on, just some of my thoughts going back at that time. I know there were a lot of reasons I was glad to graduate, but one of them that I was glad that I had to stop borrowing money and working part-time jobs. So I was thrilled that I was going to leave. I actually went to work the next Monday for IBM, and I had a real job making good money. So I remember that as something that really made me think. But I had two things that I remember that especially I can reflect on now that were pretty important. I really did have a lot of friends that I'd met in Darden. And we were all going all over, literally all over the world, because we had some people even in those days that took some foreign jobs. And you always were worried about whether you would be able to keep up with them and see them. And I would just like to give a comment on that. Just a few weeks ago, we had our 50th reunion back here at Darden. And over half of my class that's still living came. And I think that's a pretty good record for 50% of a class 50 years later to care enough to come back. And I also will admit that I was single at the time, but I had gotten engaged, and that was a new experience to me. Fortunately, I've only done that once. And my wife and I are going to celebrate our 50th anniversary here in a few months. So all in all, the reason I go through these is not so much to personalize them for me. It's really more to let you students and you graduates know that there is a long life ahead of you. It will be great. And so therefore, I hope you'll take advantage of the opportunities you'll have and you will enjoy. Now I have the fortunate ability of introducing our speaker, Dean Paul Mahoney. And he is an individual who has made many contributions to the university and its community. Dean Mahoney is the current Dean of the University School of Law, in addition to being the David and Mary Harrison Distinguished Professorship of Law and the Arnold H. Leon Professor of Law. Dean Mahoney took a Bachelor in Science degree from the Massachusetts of Technology, MIT, and earned a law degree from Yale University. Prior to joining the faculty of the School of Law, he practiced law with the New York firm of Sullivan and Comrell after clerking with Judge Ralph Winter of the U.S. Court of Appeals and the appeals for the Second Circuit and the U.S. Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall. Dean Mahoney joined the law school faculty in 1990 and has been the Dean of the law school since 2008. He has an outstanding international reputation. Dean Mahoney has published in numerous reviews, journals, and in addition to a book, Wasting a Crisis, Why Security Regulations Failed, that was released last year. He received an All-University Outstanding Faculty Award and the Law School's Trainer Award for Excellence in Faculty Scholarship. He is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations and the American Academy of Arts and Science. Dr. Mahoney is known for challenging students in the classroom and for his commitment to ensuring that his students reach their utmost potential. And with that, I would like to thank Dean Mahoney for joining us today.
Mr. Rector, Madam President, visitors, guests, faculty, staff, and graduates of the class of 2016. I'm deeply grateful to President Sullivan and the Graduation Committee for the honor of speaking to you. I do not hold a degree from the University of Virginia, and I must say I envy you. There is no finer educational experience available anywhere than the one you complete today. I hope you never forget or lose your appreciation and gratitude for that fact. I am more fortunate than you today in one respect. I'm facing the rotunda, and can see the results of 4 years of intensive renovation. My own college graduation took place in MIT's Killian Court, which is modeled on the rotunda and the lawn, so today brings back a happy memory. We all owe a great debt of gratitude to every donor and every taxpayer who made it possible to preserve this jewel for the university's 3rd century. As a professor, I listen to graduation speeches for a living. Based on the 50 or so I've heard, I'm now supposed to tell you to follow your passion. And I don't disagree with that aspiration, but it is an aspiration and not a plan. And it is also somewhat misleading, because it implies that your passion is the North Star of your life, always there and always in the same place. That may be because graduation speakers are drawn disproportionately from the ranks of performing artists and entrepreneurs, many of whom are among the small minority of the population whose passion is fixed and all-consuming. But I think there's another reason for the general reluctance to offer more operational advice on these occasions, for which I blame Shakespeare. After all, when Polonius gives his famous parting words to Laertes, neither a borrower nor a lender be, etc., we're supposed to see him as a pompous old windbag. And who wants to be that? It's a risk I'm willing to run. My hope is to provide some thoughts that are concrete enough to help you develop a plan of action. For many of you, today marks the end of your formal education. Many will receive terminal degrees, PhDs, MDs, JDs, MBAs, and so on. Many of you who receive bachelor's or master's degrees in engineering, education, nursing, commerce, leadership and public policy, and data science will launch your careers immediately. For many graduates of the School of Continuing and Professional Studies, today is the culmination of years of sacrifice leading to career advancement or career change. So sometime in the future, most of you will head off to work in an organization, a hospital, financial institution, law firm, corporation, government agency, or NGO. And in most cases, you will embark not just on a job, but on a profession. What does that mean? Dictionaries tell us that a profession is distinguished from other work by the requirement of special skill or education, thus the term learned profession that lawyers so love. Each of you has acquired special skill and education that give you entree into a professional career. But your success in that career will be determined in significant part by something else that often goes under the heading of professionalism, or certain habits of behavior and judgment. I will focus on a few of those that I hope you will display from the very outset, grouped around 3 basic precepts: take ownership, learn continuously, and think long-term. One key aspect of professionalism is taking ownership. As a junior person in any organization, it is easy and tempting to conclude that your job is to do what you're told. Write the memo, create the spreadsheet, attend the meeting. You'll probably be able to do those things without thinking about the needs of your organization's ultimate client, customer, or patient. But don't fall into that trap. Make sure you appreciate the larger context. Understand what your organization or your organization's client is trying to achieve and make it your business to achieve it. In a highly functioning organization, the senior leaders do not make you a partner, a managing director, or a member of the leadership team. They simply recognize that you've made yourself one. Start that process the day you walk in the door. Ask questions. Understand the organization's strategy and values. Learn about the client, customer, or patient, and why that person or organization sought out your advice or services. And above all, if you think something else could or should be done to improve the product or service you are working on, speak up. Identify what you think needs to be done and offer to do it. Ownership also applies to your mistakes. You will make some. Everyone does. When you make a mistake, don't hide from it, blame it on someone else, or make excuses. Own it, and own the cleanup. And when someone you supervise makes a mistake, take responsibility for the performance of your team in front of your coworkers, your boss, and your client. Let the people you supervise know that you have their backs. You must keep learning throughout your career to be effective at it. You don't know everything you need to know to do your job at the highest level. Far from it, and neither does anyone else. But the people around you will have skills and knowledge that complement your own. Start building constructive relationships with them immediately. Those relationships will help you learn. More than that, they will be building blocks of your and your colleagues' success. For roughly the past 2 decades, you've been in a structured learning environment. You went to classrooms and labs and worked on assignments. Now you are going into an unstructured learning environment. How will you continue to learn in that setting? Start by asking questions. No one likes to feel stupid, so we often keep quiet when we don't know something. It takes conscious and deliberate effort to combat that. When you're unclear why your organization or its client, customer, or patient is doing something, or how to perform a particular task, or what a new concept or term means, ask. Now, asking questions should supplement, not substitute for, going into meetings and assignments well prepared. But by both preparing and asking questions, you will perform tasks more quickly, efficiently, and accurately. Another central part of learning is getting feedback. Finding out what you did well and what you need to improve on is essential to your progress. Remind yourself that a supervisor or coworker who gives you critical feedback is doing you an enormous favor. Request feedback. Express thanks for it after it's delivered. The late Randy Pausch was a member of our engineering faculty for many years. His book, The Last Lecture, is based on a talk he gave shortly before he died of cancer. He made the point in that lecture that when people stop telling you you've messed up, they've given up on you. As he put it, your critics are the ones telling you they still love you and care. Which makes sense. The elite level athletes in this audience are already used to handling criticism effectively. For everyone else, it is something to be practiced and learned. You will give and not just receive constructive criticism. In most professional careers, you will supervise others. You will be a boss. Your job will involve leadership and not just technical skill and expertise. Part of leadership is giving thoughtful and actionable feedback. And this brings me to my third theme, thinking long-term. Giving good feedback takes time, and time is your most precious resource. In the short run, you free up time by not bothering to give careful instructions before a project or useful feedback afterward. But the time saved today will always be paid back with exorbitant interest tomorrow. And there are many other situations that present the same basic trade-off. They often involve resolving conflict or disagreement or otherwise tackling a problem today rather than letting it smolder until it bursts into a larger conflagration down the road. Professionals make decisions. The higher they rise in their organizations, the more and larger decisions they make. And oddly enough, some of the most challenging ones have a clear right answer. They're the ones where saying yes will make everyone happy in the short run, but will cause predictable problems in the long run. As Professor Rob Cross from the McIntyre School has noted, highly effective workers are often bombarded with requests to collaborate on projects. You may be asked to work on a project when you are already stretched so thin that you won't be able to deliver on time. Someone who reports to you may ask to work on a project that is not the best use of his or her skills or time. Someone may ask you to make an exception to a rule or policy that applies with good reason to the situation. Our natural impulse is to avoid conflict, which means we will too often say yes when we should say no. Sometimes, although you can't or shouldn't say yes to a request, you can propose something else that will meet some or all of the objectives motivating it. Always try to think outside the parameters of a specific request to come up with a compromise that suits the other party. But it isn't always possible. Sometimes you will have to just say no. You can't make that process easy, but you can make it easier. Listen carefully to the request and to the arguments behind it. Consider those arguments before making a decision. Communicate your decision effectively and unequivocally. Explain why you think it's the best decision, and then move on. As perhaps these examples make clear, a professional career involves some unavoidable amount of stress. You will be responsible for other people's livelihoods, wealth, safety, well-being, and in some cases, their lives. This necessarily will put pressure on you. Please recognize that stress is not a sign of weakness or pathology. It is a sign that you have been entrusted with something important. But you have to find strategies that work for you to keep stress from adversely affecting your own health and well-being. This, too, means investing time today in order to gain it back with interest tomorrow. Consider blocking out a brief period of the workday to do something that relaxes you. Taking a walk, reading a few pages of a novel, listening to music. Getting your mind off work for just a few minutes can be extraordinarily refreshing. And you will also be able to deal with stress more effectively if your career is part of a full and satisfying life that includes close ties to friends, family, and neighbors. Professionalism also means conducting yourself in every interaction with honesty, integrity, and goodwill. I won't insult your intelligence by saying that this is the only path to career success. You've no doubt observed people succeeding through dishonesty and treachery. But despite the long-term temptation to do otherwise, there are enormous long-term advantages to pursuing success ethically and graciously. Doing so ties your professional and personal selves into a coherent and attractive whole. It assures that others will not merely note your success, but will admire and celebrate it. And as your life progresses, it will help you answer affirmatively one of life's central questions. Am I a good person? And that leads me to my final and most important point. Your career is a means to an end. The end is to live a good life, a life full of what the ancient Greeks called eudaimonia, variously translated as happiness or flourishing. The service you provide to others, both in your workplace and outside it, will contribute to it. So will your friendships with family and involvement in your community. So will your enjoyment of physical activity and the beauty of the natural world. So will your inner life, your enjoyment of ideas, art, literature, music, and other achievements of the human mind. So will your religious faith or ethical beliefs. And so will the kindness, courtesy, and fairness with which you treat others in and out of the workplace. Keep your eye on those sources of happiness every single day. You will never regret having done so, and both you and we will look on your endeavors with pride and satisfaction. Congratulations and best wishes as you open an exciting new chapter in your lives.
Thank you, Dean Mahoney. The chair of the University of Virginia Alumni Association Board of Managers.
Thank you and good morning. My name is John Harris and I'm a Commerce class of 1982. Congratulations, class of 2016. In a few short moments, you will become alumni of the University of Virginia. On behalf of our over 225,000 alumni, it is my privilege and my great honor to welcome you to our ranks. Welcome aboard. You will now officially bleed blue and orange. You are a Wahoo for life. So what might that mean? Mr. Jefferson once asked, and I quote, "Do you want to know who you are?" Think about that question. Do you want to know who you are? His answer, don't ask, act. Don't ask, take action. Action will delineate and define you. Think about it for a moment. During your time on grounds, it was your actions that defined who you were as a student and as a member of the UVA community. Likewise, the actions you choose to take as alumni will define who you are as alumni, and in the future, your collective actions will help define the university itself. I quote an ancient Chinese proverb, "A man who waits for roast duck to fly into his mouth must wait for a very, very, very long time." So take action as alumni. Here are some thoughts on what you could do. Be active, informed, engaged, and caring alumni. Fortunately, you have a strong and vibrant alumni association to help you do so. Join the Alumni Association. Over half of the undergraduate class of 2016 has already done so. Alumni Hall will always be your home away from home. Here's a challenge. Make the class of 2016 the best class the university has ever seen in its nearly 200-year history. Come back home to Charlottesville for reunions. Last year, a record 3,500 alumni came back for Young Alumni Weekend. Shatter that attendance this coming fall. Use Alumni Career Services to help. Plan your careers, network with other alumni, and you may even find your dream job. Your fellow alumni will help you. And remember to pay it forward and help future alumni. Support your women's and men's athletic teams. Celebrate the bowl game I know Coach Mendenhall will lead us to this coming season. And the Hokies? The Hokies are going down in November. Go nuts next spring when Coach Bennett cuts down the net after the Who's win the NCAA basketball championship. And support UVA Arts. Come back in November and attend the Virginia Film Festival. Participate in alumni lifetime learning programs. We are students for life. Stay informed. Read every page of the Virginia Magazine. And in a few years, you might just have baby wahoos. And those baby wahoos will turn into teenagers. God help you. And just maybe aspiring wahoos. Our Alumni Liaison Admissions Program will do our best to help them become legacy wahoos. Your relationship with this university is just beginning. I hope you fully develop that relationship over your life and come to cherish it. And remember Mr. Jefferson's advice. Your actions will define the persons you become, not only as alumni, but as citizens of our great country. Congratulations again, and best wishes for your future, and wahoo wah.
The President of the University.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. The university is fortunate to have so many loyal alumni dedicated to their alma mater. Those of you who graduate today have benefited from the generosity of alumni, parents, and friends who make gifts to the university to improve the quality of life and learning here. Because of their generosity in recent years, you had wonderful new buildings such as the South Lawn, Bavaro Hall, Rice Hall, Lacey Hall, the Emily Couric Clinical Cancer Center, the Battle Building, and the Rotunda Restoration. We also have wonderful new programs such as the Data Science Institute, the Frank Batten School of Leadership and Public Policy, and the Cavalier Marching Band. Loyal donors have helped to make all of this possible in recent years, and you yourselves have joined this tradition of giving through your class giving. In this year's class giving campaign, the undergraduate fourth-year class achieved a participation rate of 48%. The School of Law achieved an 83% participation rate. The School of Medicine achieved an 87% participation rate. And the Darden School achieved a participation rate of 93%. With these gifts, you've strengthened the university in significant ways. Thank you for the generosity you've demonstrated even before you leave the grounds. I do want to share some observations about some of today's graduating students. There are profiles of some of our students who've appeared on the university's website and in the Cavalier Daily. These profiles highlight students working in architecture, business, commerce, education, engineering, law, and medicine. They are remarkable stories, and I encourage you to read them. Each student today has his or her own story of hard work and achievement, and we celebrate everyone's stories today. Some of this weekend's undergraduate students worked especially hard to complete their degrees early. 14 students from 4 of the schools represented today earned their baccalaureate degree in just 3 years. In recognition of their effort and as a symbol of their achievement, these students are wearing special orange stoles today. I invite you to stand up. We congratulate you on your accomplishment, and I welcome you to the Order of the Orange Stole. And another group of graduates has a special distinction. More than 100 students representing 7 of the schools here today are the first members of their families to graduate from college. We salute their commitment to education and their diligence in earning their degrees. All UVA students are committed to service. Many of this weekend's graduating students volunteered through Madison House to serve as tutors, construction workers, youth mentors, peer counselors, and in many other roles. And I encourage you in whatever community you find yourself that you continue this tradition of service and look for a way to give back. This graduating class lived and learned at a truly global university. Nearly 1,000 of our graduates this weekend came to the university from another country, bringing an international perspective and enriching life for all of us. And many of our students have represented UVA beyond the Serpentine walls. About 30% of today's graduating undergraduates have participated in some form of education or research abroad. Because of this commitment to learning and to excellence, today's graduating students are prepared They will provide vision and leadership at every level in their careers and in their communities. Please join me in a round of applause for this entire class. All of today's degree candidates are listed in your program, including those who completed the requirements for their degrees in December or last August. Today, we will award 1,440 baccalaureate degrees, 482 first professional degrees, 1,799 graduate degrees, including 1,603 master's degrees, 38 education specialist degrees, 135 PhDs, 8 EDDs, and 15 doctors of nursing practice degrees. Now, under the authority vested in the general faculty and by it delegated to me, I will award the several degrees. The deans of the university will present the candidates for degrees. Immediately after these exercises, school and department graduation ceremonies will take place around the grounds. The locations are listed near the back of the finals program. The ceremonies will be held in their fair weather locations.
The Executive Vice President and Provost of the University.
The Dean of the School of Medicine.
The candidates for the Doctor of Medicine will rise and remain standing. Madam President, as the Dean of the School of Medicine, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Doctor of Medicine.
I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Medicine with all the rights and privileges thereto belonging. I charge you to use your training to heal the sick, sustain the well, and protect the welfare of the young, the old, and all who seek your care and counsel.
The Doctors of Medicine will please be seated.
The Dean of the School of Law.
The candidates for the degree of Master of Laws will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the School of Law, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Master of Laws.
I confer upon you the degree of Master of Laws with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and charge you to use your advanced knowledge of the law in pursuit of justice and the betterment of humankind.
The Masters of Laws will please be seated. The candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the School of Law, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Juris Doctor.
I confer upon you the degree of Juris Doctor with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and charge you to preserve individual liberties, freedom, and justice through the process of the law.
The Juris Doctors will please be seated.
The Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Science.
Candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Engineering and Applied Science, please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Science, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Engineering and Applied Science.
I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Engineering and Applied Science with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging. I charge you to pursue discoveries and inventions for the betterment of humankind, to work on the frontiers of applied knowledge, and to communicate to the next generation the excitement of science.
Doctors of Philosophy, please be seated. Candidates for master's degrees in Engineering and Applied Science, please rise and remain standing. Madam President, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for master's degrees in Engineering and Applied Science.
I confer upon you the master's degree in Engineering and Applied Science with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and charge you to pursue rigorous research that advances modern technology and sustains human life.
Masters of Engineering, please be seated. Candidates for bachelor's degrees in Engineering and Applied Science, please rise and remain standing. Wow. Madam President, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for bachelor's degrees in Engineering and Applied Science.
I confer upon you the bachelor's degree in Engineering and Applied Science with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and charge you to use your knowledge and skills to transform the principles of science and mathematics into new and useful technologies.
Bachelor's in Engineering, please be seated.
The Dean of the Curry School of Education.
The candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Philosophy in Education, Doctor of Education, or Education Specialist will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the Curry School of Education, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degrees of Doctor of Philosophy in Education, Doctor of Education, or Education Specialist.
I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Education, Doctor of Education, or Education Specialist, with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and I charge you to pursue research that will support teachers' work and advance students' learning in the nation's schools and colleges.
The Doctors of Philosophy in Education, Doctors of Education, and Education Specialists will please be seated. The candidates for the degree of Master of Education or Master of Teaching will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Master of Education or Master of Teaching.
I confer upon you the degree of Master of Education or Master of Teaching with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and charge you to be creative in stimulating learning and in conveying to your students the responsibilities that belong to educated citizens in a free nation.
Masters of Education and Masters of Teaching will please be seated. The candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Education will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Education.
I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Science in Education with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and I charge you to use your knowledge, skills, and compassion to enrich the lives of the people whom you will serve in your profession.
The Bachelors of Science in Education will please be seated.
The Dean of the Darden Graduate School of Business Administration.
The candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements of the degree of Master of Business Administration.
I confer upon you the degree of Master of Business Administration with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and challenge you to bring innovation, the entrepreneurial spirit, and ethical integrity to your leadership in practical affairs in this nation and in the world.
The Masters of Business Administration will please be seated.
The Dean of the School of Architecture.
The candidates for degrees of Master of Architectural History, Architecture, Landscape Architecture, or Urban and Environmental Planning will please rise and remain standing. Dean of the School of Architecture. Honored to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Master of Architectural History, Architecture, Landscape Architecture, or Urban and Environmental Planning.
I confer upon you the appropriate master's degree with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and charge you to shape rich and humane environments that acknowledge the heritage of the past while anticipating the needs of the future.
The Masters of Architectural History, Architecture, Landscape Architecture, and Urban and Environmental Planning will please be seated. The candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Architectural History, Bachelor of Science in Architecture, or Bachelor of Urban and Environmental Planning will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Architectural History, Bachelor of Science in Architecture, or Bachelor of Urban and Environmental Planning.
I confer upon you the appropriate bachelor's degree with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and charge you to use your knowledge to preserve and shape environments that inform and magnify the quality of life itself.
The Bachelors of Architectural History, Bachelors of Science in Architecture, and the Bachelors of Urban and Environmental Planning will please be seated.
The Dean of the School of Nursing.
The candidates for the degree of Doctor of Nursing Practice will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the School of Nursing, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Doctor of Nursing Practice.
I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Nursing Practice with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and I charge you to use your specialized knowledge and abilities for the work of enhancing the profession of nursing as you enter practice or as you teach aspiring nurses.
The Doctors of Nursing Practice will please be seated. The candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Nursing will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Nursing.
I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Nursing with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and I challenge you to pursue research that will shape the future of healthcare.
The Doctors of Philosophy in Nursing will please be seated. The candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Nursing will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Master of Science in Nursing.
I confer upon you the degree of Master of Science in Nursing with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and I charge you to use your advanced knowledge and skills to promote the health and well-being of the individuals, families, and communities you serve.
The Masters of Science in Nursing will please be seated. The candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Nursing will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, I have the honor to present these candidates who fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Nursing.
I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Science in Nursing with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and I challenge you to promote human health and to strive to improve the lives of persons in need.
The Bachelors of Science in Nursing will please be seated.
The Dean of the McIntire School of Commerce.
The candidates for the degrees of Master of Science in Accounting, Commerce, or the Management of Information Technology will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the McIntire School of Commerce, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Master of Science in Accounting, Commerce, or the Management of Information Technology.
I confer upon you the degree of Master of Science in Accounting, Commerce, or Management of Information Technology with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging. I encourage you to use your business knowledge and decision-making skills to help organizations create value and use their resources responsibly for the benefit of citizens throughout the world.
The Masters of Science in Accounting, Commerce, and the Management of Information Technology will please be seated. The candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Commerce will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Commerce.
I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Science in Commerce with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and I encourage you to create value and improve the world through your business skills. Ever aware of the implications of business decisions on society and on our environment.
The Bachelors of Science in Commerce will please be seated.
The Dean of the School of Continuing and Professional Studies.
The candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Interdisciplinary Studies will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Interim Dean of the School of Continuing and Professional Studies, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Interdisciplinary Studies.
I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Interdisciplinary Studies with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging. I commend your commitment to lifelong learning, and I challenge you to continue in that spirit as you further your education, pursue your career, or strive to reach other goals.
The Bachelors of Interdisciplinary Studies will please be seated.
The Dean of the Frank Batten School of Leadership and Public Policy.
Candidates for the degree of Master of Public Policy, please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the Frank Batten School of Leadership and Public Policy, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Master of Public Policy.
I confer upon you the degree of Master of Public Policy with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and charge you to use your new knowledge and skills to provide strong leadership in the careers and communities you enter, and to craft wise, morally sound, and well-informed roadmaps for our Republic and the greater global community.
Masters of Public Policy, please be seated. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Public Policy and Leadership, please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the Frank Batten School of Leadership and Public Policy, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Public Policy and Leadership.
I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Public Policy and Leadership with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and encourage you to use what you have learned here to serve our nation and our world through your work in government, education, nonprofit, and private sectors.
Bachelors of Arts in Public Policy and Leadership, please be seated.
The Director of the Data Science Institute.
The candidates for degree of Master of Science in Data Science will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Director of the Data Science Institute, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Master of Science in Data Science.
I confer upon you the degree of Master of Science with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and charge you to use your knowledge and skills to continue exploring, analyzing, and safeguarding data to make discoveries to advance the world while treating data ethically and with regard to the privacy rights of individuals.
The Masters of Science in Data Science will please be seated.
So now we come to a few closing remarks. Today, graduates, you complete a portion of your life when you have lived in community and learned on these grounds. In the course of your lives, you will belong to other communities and cultures. Each will have its own values and customs. I hope you will take with you, as you leave, the values that have distinguished you as students in this community of learners. Most of us experience times in our life when it might be easier to follow the path of self-interest, to keep quiet when truth is obscured, to avoid participating in the fray. In these times, you may be tempted to compromise your values, to argue the easy point rather than the valid point, and to follow blindly rather than to lead boldly. At these times, consider the three creations for which this university's founder wished to be remembered: Virginia's bill for establishing religious freedom, the Declaration of Independence of the United States of America, and the University of Virginia. Recall that each of them came about as a result of perseverance, sacrifice, and a personal commitment to enduring values. If we've done right by you, you have already absorbed some of Mr. Jefferson's qualities of tough-mindedness, optimism, and determination to effect change. Now, as you go, cultivate in yourselves the tenacity to hold elected officials and yourselves as well to strict account. Engage in the political process that builds durable and systematic change when change is due. Work as educated citizens to protect individual freedom, your own and the freedom of those who depend upon you. Contribute to the work that is essential to sustaining a democracy. And in all that you do, commit yourselves and your fortunes to the common good. These are our fondest hopes for you. Godspeed, and God bless you.
School and department ceremonies will begin after graduates and their guests have ample time to reach their ceremony sites. If your ceremony is scheduled to begin at 1 p.m. or sooner, please proceed directly to your school or department ceremony venue. But now, graduates, please stand for the singing of the good old song.